Hey guys, today's video we are gonna be reacting to Zack D films.
A chef in China chopped off the head of a snake as he was preparing a dish. But as he reached down to throw the head away, nerves inside the snake suddenly fired. The severed head snapped forward and bit his hand, sinking.
First of all, this is probably in Ohio, #1.
Its fangs deep into his skin. The bite delivered a full dose of venom directly into his
Definitely Ohio.
bloodstream, and the chef collapsed, dying shortly after. A chef in China, if you were shot out of a mile-long slingshot, you would be launched at over 3,000 miles per hour. You would cover the length of a football field in a tenth of a second. In just 1 minute, you would be over 50 miles away. And if you didn't slow down, you could travel over 100 miles, even crossing an entire state. But in reality, the force of the launch would crush you instantly, meaning you'd be flying in several pieces. He shoved the rod down his throat, but as he did, it ripped a 4-inch hole in his windpipe. Even though he was in severe pain, he continued the act in front of the stunned audience. But as soon as he left the stage, he collapsed. Doctors couldn't operate.
Dead.
Instead, he spent 5 weeks in intensive care while the wound healed naturally. And as soon as it did, he went right back to You would strap it to your back and stick the syringe in your arm. This would take a tiny sample of your blood and measure how much sugar was in there. In 1967, a group of 6 cavers were exploring a—
Wait, keep skipping and skipping. Is there any videos? Okay. We're gonna see.
Hold open your eyelids and lean over the eye wash station, letting the clean water hit both eyes at once. As it does, look up, down, left, and right. This will flush out the dangerous chemicals before they cause serious damage. Now, some chemicals are strong enough to blind you, even if you wash most of them out. To be sure, keep rinsing for at least 15 minutes. By that time, your eyes should be clear, saving you from going blind. If the Earth suddenly stopped spinning, you'd instantly be thrown east at over 1,000 miles an hour.
Dead.
Sispri Kiwi. He dropped live wires into the river, using electricity to stun the fish. This killed them, and their dead bodies would float to the surface for an easy catch. And it worked, until he forgot to disconnect the wires before stepping in. The current rushed through him instantly, paralyzing his muscles and stopping his heart. And by the time rescuers pulled him out, it was already too late. If you ground up every cow on Earth and shaped it into a patty, you would have a burger over a mile wide. It would be twice the height of the Statue of Liberty and weigh 400 million tons. To grill it, you would need a pan bigger than Central Park and a volcano beneath to heat it. And since it would contain over a quadrillion calories, it would be enough to feed every human on Earth more than 200 times. If you ground up
What are you doing? You're trying.
The bullet shot towards the house. If you built a Jenga tower,
Anyways, I'm gonna scroll all the way down. I did not see this yet.
if they tripped on the wire, it would set off a hidden gun in the graveyard. You see, grave robbers would dig up corpses at night, selling them to medical students for research.
Why would people grab a dead body?
To stop them, these guns were set up at the foot of the graves, and 3 trip wires were attached, fanning out in every direction. If the robbers set one off, the gun would swivel to face him, shooting him down before he could steal the corpse. If they tripped on— When you shave, the blade scrapes off the top layer of your skin. This can lead to ingrown hairs, where the hair grows back into the skin instead of outwards. Additionally, bacteria can
Less hair.
enter these tiny cuts, causing redness and swelling. And over time, this can cause a red rash known as
Shave the red rash.
razor burn. When you shave, I've partnered. While talking to her fiance, she mentioned that a truck was circling her. Then the truck stopped and a man got out, but he quickly got back inside and shined a flashlight around. She thought nothing of it, but a moment later, her fiance heard her scream. He drove as fast as he could to help her, but on the way, he heard someone call his name from the truck that passed by. He turned around to chase it, but damaged his car, bringing him to a stop. And despite years of searching, she was never seen again. When you rub a balloon on your head, tiny electric charges move to your body, giving you the power to zap your friends. But how big would the balloon have to be for you to make lightning? Well, if the balloon was the size of a car, it would only power a flashlight for a second. Grow it to the size of a mansion, and you could actually charge your phone. But you would need a balloon the size of Earth, rubbed across your head millions of times just to make a single lightning bolt. He was swimming in a lazy river when a piece of his goggles fell through a grate. They lifted it up and the boy swam down, but his legs slipped into the drain and no amount of struggling could free it. Adults desperately tried to save him as he lost consciousness, but it took over 9 minutes to yank him loose. He had stopped breathing when he was rushed to the hospital, but after 11 days, he finally recovered. The stream can break through the outer layer of your skin in seconds if you're sprayed with a pressure washer. And this is because the machine forces water.
If you ever have a bully at school, just get a pressure washer.
Through a tiny opening, which builds pressure as it's released. This creates a concentrated stream that's powerful enough to tear through muscle and tendons. And if held in place long enough, it can slice straight through a finger bone. The stream can break.
It depends if you really hate him. If you really hate the bully, keep it along.
Thousands of leaflets dropped from the sky, telling him that World War II was over. But he thought it was a trick from the enemy meant to lure him out. So he stayed hidden in the jungle, living off coconuts and stolen rice. He watched planes fly overhead and thought Japan was still fighting, not realizing it was for a completely different war. Finally, 30 years later, his commander showed up and ordered him to stand down. The man saluted, handed over his rifle, and finally left the war that had ended 30 years prior. The crocodile lunged out of the pond, clamping onto his foot. It dragged him into the water, shaking him to pull off his limbs. The farmer kicked it and reached for its head before sinking his teeth into its eyelid. And after a second, it let go. He managed to escape and used a rope to stop the bleeding. And after a month in the hospital, he survived. The rock is strong enough to bench press a motorcycle at 6'4". But what?
A motorcycle? A motorcycle. Let's move on.
He was constantly growing. At 10 feet tall, he'd be strong enough to swap the motorcycle for a grand piano. As he hit 20.
Grand piano. How do you even get grand pianos on stage? Okay. How much Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson does it take to pick up a grand piano?
Feet. He would need to grab an SUV if he wanted a good leg day. And as he grew to 30 feet, he would need to train an elephant to stand on his shoulders while he did squats. The bullet was headed straight for the man's chest, but in his pocket, he actually had a Nokia phone. Now,
he is alive.
These phones are notorious for their durability and strength. As the bullet made contact, it ended up hitting the phone. And while the force did shatter it, miraculously, it absorbed the impact.
How did the IKEA phone break? They're invincible.
It stopped the bullet before it could hit the man's chest, which ended up saving his life.
Whoop, there it goes.
She fell onto the tracks and was cut in half by an oncoming train, and those who hear the story of her death are soon haunted by her spirit. The ghost has no lower body, and she moves by dragging herself with her hands. As she does, her bones make a clicking noise, giving her the name Tek-Tek. If she finds you walking alone at night, she'll chase you down with supernatural speed. And if she catches you, legend says she'll slice you in half, leaving you legless just like her. His truck veered off the road and into a steep ravine before landing in a creek. Now, somehow the man survived, but he was severely injured and only managed to crawl 100 yards from the wreck. As night fell, he collapsed, exhausted, with only his dogs for company. But one of them left him, running 4 miles back to his family. It barked frantically to warn them that something was wrong. And the next morning, they finally found him. Rescuers pulled him to safety and he survived, all thanks to his loyal dog. Imagine you woke up dangling on a... The spear gun shot directly at his face while he was cleaning it. It entered just above his eye, piercing his skull and going straight through the back of his head. And he was still awake when rescuers rushed him to the hospital. Doctors carefully removed the harpoon, but the spear
Okay, you can't remove like that. He's gonna die.
had somehow missed every important part of his brain. The injury did cause him to lose vision in one eye, but he escaped death by inches. As they pulled up to the haunted lighthouse, an ice skate could slide across your fingers and slice them off if you slipped on the rink. And if your ring gets snagged on heavy machinery, it could easily rip your finger off of your hand. When you're in a rush, slamming doors have been known to smash and sever fingers in a split second. And if you're holding a firework when it explodes, this has also been known to blow off fingers. She gave birth in her car outside of a gas station, but the baby wasn't crying, it was blue. The umbilical cord was wrapped tightly around its neck. That's when a homeless man nearby saw what was happening and ran over to help. She had called 911 and he followed the dispatcher's instructions exactly. With shaking hands, he unwrapped the cord from the baby's neck, and moments later, the baby started breathing. An ambulance rushed them to the hospital. The mother and baby were safe. But when they came back to thank him, he was nowhere to be found. Your body is placed vertically into a deep, narrow hole feet first. Then you're slowly lowered straight downward, standing upright underground. Instead of a coffin, you would be wrapped in a special cloth that disintegrates over time. As you begin to break down, your body gently collapses into itself. And over time, nothing is left but your bones. Now, this takes up way less space than a coffin buried horizontally, meaning cemeteries can fit thousands more graves into smaller areas. Your body... Live wasps are dropped into a container of...
I know. This.
Strong out...
They die. Okay.